this can apply to myself as well when I say this. I think we all need to check in on our grandparents a lot more frequently just to make sure that they're all okay, their headspace is clear, it's good, and they're not experimenting and trying crazy things out. I mean, I can understand when you get older, you kind of reminisce about all the things that you missed out on and all the things you wish you had tried, and you kind of rush it and you want to try those things. It's totally understandable. But I'm surprised this story isn't getting a lot more attention. If you guys don't know what I'm talking about, I am referring to the fact that there's an 88-year-old Frenchman that evacuated a whole hospital because he had a World War I shell up his butt. He had it up, stuck in his anus. Yeah, a World War I shell. I don't know. I don't know what happened to Grandpa. I really don't. But here's the article right here by the Huff Post. So a man causes a partial evacuation of a hospital because of a shell stuck in the anus. This 88-year-old man caused an incredible bomb threat at the Saint-Musée hospital requiring a demining team. I thought when I first saw this online, I thought that it was a joke. I thought this was just like a fake article, like fake news, obviously, clearly, because it sounded so ridiculous. It's like, how would a World War I shell end up in Grandpa's butt? Like, what was Grandpa doing? And, like, did he put, like, lube on it? I don't want to know that, but, like, you know, what was the process? Was he, like, unclothed? Because if you're clothed and it just magically went up your anus, like, that's just not possible. So Grandpa must have been fucking around. Grandpa must have been experimenting and reminiscing on things he wished he had tried out, maybe in his early 20s and 30s that he just didn't get a chance to. And he's like, you know what? I'm 88 years old. Before I leave this earth, I want to fucking shove a mortar up my ass. I want to do it, and I want to do it today. This is an unusual story. This weekend, an 88-year-old man presented himself to the emergency room of Saint-Musée Hospital. The octogenarian claimed to have found this 18-centimeter long by 9-centimeter wide. This is a big motherfucker. This is huge. This is like a dino dick. As a first step, the hospital management organized a partial evacuation of the establishment in the main hall with the help of security and the fire department to manage this almost unbelievable bomb threat. We then had to treat our atypical patient who immediately ensured that the shell was demilitarized. So the 88-year-old just had to make sure and to tell everyone, to reassure them that it is a demilitarized shell. Grandpa, what are you doing? This was explained to one of the hospital staff members, and then this is like the tweet that they came out with, and there's the thing that literally came out of his ass, came out of his anus. Yeah, and it gets even crazier. So to be sure, the hospital called a demining team, which quickly eliminated any risk of explosion, the shell being considered collectible. And the surgery team then swung into action, performing a visceral operation to retrieve the object through the abdominal. God damn! Holy fuck. So it was so deep in there, they couldn't go and pull it back out. They had to cut open his abdominal section to retrieve the World War I bomb shell from him. 88 years old, getting surgery in the abdominal section they had to go through safely. That was the safest way the surgeons could determine to retrieve this shell. It's just fucking insane, the fact that the 88-year-old was like, you know what? I'm not going to shove this 18-centimeter long mortar shell just a little bit up my ass. I'm going to shove it so far up my rectum, I'm going to have to go get surgery. And unfortunately, the story just pretty much ends there. It's a little bit of a cliffhanger where it leaves us, the readers, kind of questioning, well, how did it get up there in the first place? We can, leave that up to speculation and assumption, knowing that Grandpa probably was just really kinky and horny and, he's probably into butt stuff, and he grabbed a whole bottle of lube and he lubed that sucker up and he just went for it. He went to town. He was probably so into it, he didn't realize that the whole mortar was up his ass until he was finished. That's just what we can assume, or maybe he slipped and fell on it, because guess what? This is actually not an uncommon thing, as crazy as it is. This is an article that has no correlation with the one that we just looked at and read. This is a totally separate incident back at the beginning of December, where a bomb squad was called to the hospital after a man reportedly had a World War II mortar stuck up his ass. According to reports, the man was a military enthusiast who had military collectibles, and he slipped and fell on a 57mm shell. He slipped and fell, and magically, as he was slipping and falling, his pants and trousers just, they slipped off, the lube went on, and it just easily was lined up right with his anal sphincter, and it just was at the perfect angle, at the right time, right place, and it went right in there. I'm telling you, these mortars, they need to be taken away. They need to be destroyed all across the world. Any remnants of World War II or World War I mortars that are out there, they need to be collected and gone because they are becoming a serious concern. They are going rampant right into older generation's ass. The grandpas are getting harmed. It is not cool. It is not okay. Like, what are the odds of slipping and falling on one? Nobody's buying that. When he goes and he tells like the nurses and the doctors, and they're like, what happened? How did it get there? And he's like, well, I slipped, I fell, and it just went right through my pants, right through my underwear, right there. It lined up. It didn't even hit my tailbone, my ass cheek, or anything, or my leg. It went right there. It was just a perfect situation. 57mm mortar round was used by the Royal Artillery in the Second World War as an anti-tank round, though it would be later used by British tanks in North Africa. Literally used in tanks. These things are fucking massive. Maybe they missed out when they were younger and they still want to try it. Logically would go and try like just normal toys, for that matter, rather than a World War II or World War I mortar shell that is used for tanks. Like, that is like the last option that I would think anyone who is into butt stuff would even consider. It could kill you. Exactly. So continuing on, a spokesperson for the hospital said, we can confirm that the police and explosive ordnance disposal team attended the hospital. As with any incident involving munitions, the relevant safety protocols were followed to ensure that there was no risk to the patient, staff, or visitors at that time. The unnamed patient was released from the hospital and is expecting to make a full recovery. Well, that is just awesome. I was actually able to Google what it looks like, because this is like what was pulled out, but it's really blurry and it's not all like the best photo. And this is what it is. Like, that is something you just don't fuck around with. That is crazy that Grandpa is looking at that and he's saying, you know what? I'm going to make today an amazing day. I'm going to shove this thing not just a little bit up my ass, but all the way up my rectum, to where they're going to have to do surgery in my abdominal section to pull that sucker out safely, because that's the only safe way they could collect it and get it and retrieve it. When kickiness goes way too far, way too fast, yeah, you're going to start playing with missiles and bombs. I don't know. But yeah, so all in all, I wanted to talk about that because I at first was in disbelief that this was even a thing. And not only did it happen once, like, it's a common occurrence, it seems like there's multiple stories of this happening, especially in December of this year. It's like, I don't know. I don't know what's going on, but I will say this. I think if you've got a grandpa, you got grandparents still around, it's time you go visit them and make sure you scour the house or place that they're in for World War II and World War I mortars, and you just kind of like sneakily take it out. You kind of like confiscate it without them knowing, so that you don't have to be involved in a situation like this.